Hello viewers, in today's video we will talk about Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, or in other words the Fedal rivalry, which captivated the tennis audience for so many years, including yours truly. Before we get into the discussion, we are not going to talk about who is the better tennis player because that's not the controversy I want to wade into, but I want to throw a fresh light at what has often been described in a very predictable and slightly incorrect fashion. It is almost tempting for everyone to describe the Federer Nadal rivalry as Federer being good on every other surface and Nadal being extremely good on clay. That is true. Nadal undoubtedly is the greatest clay court tennis player of all time, and I don't think we will see a better player on clay in our lifetimes. But that doesn't change the fact that Nadal dominated on other surfaces also, and the facts bear it out. But even deeper than the facts, I believe, is the psychology. And the Federer Nadal rivalry can be divided into three eras based on the psychological impact of certain matches. In my opinion, the most significant match between Nadal and Federer was the French Open final of 2008, where Nadal won 6-1, 6-3, 6-love. It was a decimation of epic proportions, and the decimation of the then world number one at a stage as grand as the finals of French Open in Paris in 2008 that really set the stage for the subsequent years of dominance that Nadal was able to leash out on Roger Federer. So we will describe the careers of Roger Federer and Nadal into three eras. The first era is between Miami 2004, where they met for the first time, till French Open 2008, the finals. And the next era is from Wimbledon 2008, the most memorable Wimbledon final of recent times, arguably the best tennis match ever played, till the Australian Open semi-finals of 2014, and this last era starts in Basel in 2015 and ends in Wimbledon once again in 2019, which was the last professional match played between Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. Before we get into it, I should also disclose the statistics just for the benefit of the viewers who are not aware of it. So overall, Rafael Nadal leads Roger Federer head-to-head 24-16. If you just look at the matches in the majors, that is the Australian Open, French Open, and Wimbledon, they never met in the United States Open, then Nadal again leads 10-4. If you just look at the finals of the majors, then Nadal still leads 6-4. If you want to look at it surface-wise, which is a very common thing many people do, they tend to focus on the dominance of Nadal on clay and say that, okay, so this is why his head-to-head is so good. But if you look at it in a bit more careful manner, then you will see that his dominance is not restricted only to clay, although he does dominate on clay. On clay, Nadal leads Federer 14-2, so he won 14 out of their 16 encounters. On grass, Federer leads 3-1, but on outdoor hard courts, Nadal still leads 8-7. And I'll focus on this when we discuss this in greater detail, that for a very long time, I believe till 2014, Federer was not able to defeat Nadal with any conviction on outdoor hard courts. I believe he had only managed to win 2 matches against Nadal on outdoor hard courts till 2014. It's tempting to describe hard court as one entity. It is not one entity. You can divide them into 2 different categories: outdoor hard courts and indoor hard courts, and Federer no doubt dominated on indoor hard courts. So Federer does lead Nadal 5-1 on indoor hard courts, and if you look at it from the point of view of the 3 majors where they met each other, Nadal won each of their 6 encounters in the French Open. Federer won 3 out of their 4 encounters in Wimbledon, but Nadal won 3 out of their 4 encounters in the Australian Open. So this is also something we need to understand, and I believe we can explain this by the enormity of Nadal's victory against Federer in the French Open final of 2008, which really set the tone for many subsequent years of dominance, which Nadal was able to unleash on Roger Federer. Maybe this victory against Federer in the French Open final of 2008 gave Nadal an undeniable psychological edge, which Federer found very difficult to overcome. And finally, he was able to overcome it 2015 onwards, where he was able to win 7 out of their last 8 professional tennis encounters. So let's divide the Federer-Nadal rivalry into three eras. So in the first era, Nadal was able to win 9 out of the 10 matches against Federer on clay. Extreme dominance. But on grass, Federer was able to win both of their encounters. On outdoor hard courts, Nadal was able to win 2 out of the 3 encounters. Very interesting. Whereas on indoor hard courts, Federer again was able to win both of their encounters. So they played against each other 17 times. 10 out of these 17 matches were on clay. 9 out of these 10 matches, Nadal won. The other 7 matches, Federer was able to win 5 of them. But even on outdoor hard courts, Nadal led 2-1. In Grand Slams, Federer lost to Nadal 4 times and defeated Nadal in Wimbledon on 2 occasions. But in the 2007 Wimbledon final, the match went up to 5 sets and Federer could easily have lost. So there was a psychological edge that Nadal was gaining, and that was on supreme display in the French Open final of 2008, where he decimated Federer, winning 6-1, 6-3, 6-love. And this did play a role in the next encounter, which begins our next era, which is the Wimbledon final of 2008, where Federer lost the first 2 sets and was able to claw back into the match, but again eventually lost the final set, breaking the streak of 5 consecutive victories in Wimbledon and handing Nadal his first Wimbledon title. So Nadal defeated Federer in Wimbledon in 2008. He went on to defeat Federer in 6 out of the 7 matches on outdoor hard courts and in 4 out of the 5 matches on clay. He was also able to defeat Federer in the French Open finals of 2011, and he defeated Federer in all of their 3 encounters in the Australian Open. 2 in the semifinals, 1 in 2012 and 1 in 2014, and 1 in the final in 2009. So supreme dominance. In the era from Wimbledon 2008 to Australian Open semifinals 2014, Nadal led Federer 12-4 overall, and in the majors, Nadal won all of their 5 encounters. Moving on, the final era when Federer was able to claw back, this is also known as the neo-backhand era. People say that Federer was able to improve his backhand. I am not a qualified tennis player, so I can't really comment on that. But what is indisputable is that Federer was able to start winning his matches, and from 2015 Basel onwards, he defeated Nadal in 7 out of the 8 professional encounters they had. And the only defeat that Federer had was in the French Open semifinals in 2019. Federer went on a streak of, I believe, 6 consecutive victories against Nadal. All of them were on hard courts. 5 of them were on outdoor hard courts, which really improves Federer's overall career head-to-head on outdoor hard courts, which is still 8-7 in Nadal's favor, but it was 8-2 in his favor till 2014. A very interesting point that Nadal dominated Federer not just on clay, but also on the outdoor hard courts. So in the final era, Federer led overall 7-1. He was able to defeat Nadal in their only encounter in Wimbledon and their only encounter in the 2017 Australian Open final, but he lost to Nadal in the semifinals of French Open in 2019. So if you look at the 3 eras, in the first era from 2004 Miami to 2008 French Open, the overall head-to-head of Nadal and Federer was 11-6 in Nadal's favor. In the middle era from Wimbledon 2008 to Australian Open 2014, Nadal led 12-4, and in the final era, Federer led 7-1. From the Grand Slam point of view or the majors point of view, in the first era, Nadal led 4-2. In the second era, Nadal won all 5 of their Grand Slam matches, so he led 5-0, and in the final era, Federer led 2-1. So I believe if you want to look at the rivalry between Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, you should divide them into 3 eras. You should divide them into the period before Federer faced what is his most embarrassing defeat at the hands of Nadal in the French Open final 2008. Understand perhaps the psychological impact that it had on his tennis mind, and how the great Roger Federer was able to climb out of the situation and find a way to defeat Nadal 7 out of 8 times in the final era of this rivalry, which is from 2015 to 2019. I hope you enjoyed this fresh perspective. A big salute to both of these players who made watching tennis so much enjoyable. Thank you for watching this video. Take care, bye bye, and please don't forget to be awesome.